crane. Let's learn about Topaz.
Some people are shy or prefer not to be videotaped. To respect their privacy, we record their shadows and hands. The hands in Fula tell a story, a message from the elders to the young and innocent. We are preparing to learn something about my daughter's grandmother. She will share some of her memories as a young girl.
This method is strictly personal for your intimate family. I mean, more or less, unless there's another way of dispersing the information.
No, because it's a social network, then you can tie in many different personal experiences, and that's what becomes the quilt in the HIV/AIDS case, or in this one would be the 1,000 paper cranes.
Grandparent,
Yeah.
parent to grandchildren.
Yeah.
Now, but how do you get this system to expand to include other people? That's the question.
Well, that's the difference between, let's say, in Japan, whatever, 20 years ago, and now is that we have the internet.
Trying to really get her to document, to tell me a little bit about her experiences in these camps.
So this would just play back the video
and
that you
what
saw.
we found was a real easy tool. Is she doesn't want to be videotaped face on. So instead what I'm doing is I'm just videotaping her hands, and we'll hand her, let's say, things from the past, from that time in her life, and then asking her to, think about, does it bring up a memory? And if it does bring up a memory, let's talk about it. And so what we've done is, for example, I made a crane, and I put an RFID tag inside this origami crane, and I handed it to my mom, and then we started videotaping, and then she started talking about really that time in her life. And it was really an interesting video, and I've now linked it to this crane. And the purpose of this really exercise is I want her to tell us a little bit about her history in these are Japanese American internment camps, because then I can share those videos with her granddaughters, which are my daughters.
Not only that,
they're young. Yeah.
Not only that, somebody ought to make a serious documentary about that.
Yeah, I really think so. Because and for them, they're young right now, but as they start taking, let's say, history classes, I think this would really make an impact, because they'll be hearing about these stories not from someone else, but actually hearing it from their grandmother, and they'll realize, well, this happened recently, and it could happen again. And so it's very, very important, I think, to document these, experiences.
Oh, that's amazing!
It's oral history.
I'm going to make a Topaz blue crane. First, you fold it. We have completed the crane, and now we will add the tag. Using the Tag Writer app, we will write the link to the video on the crane. We have now personalized the crane, and it is ready to be given away as a gift.
The people were identified that they had to go to camp. They were actually given a number, and the number was actually taped on their shirt.
Oh.
And sometimes they were photographed. Well, after I contact it's a museum curator at Topaz, she was able to look up my mom's number. Mm-hmm. And from the number, it's similar to like a Social Security number. I could get all this information about herself and her family. And what I realized is that actually my mom went into camp at the same time that Anne Frank went into hiding. And my mom was, I think, 2 years older than Anne Frank, and she stayed in the camps about the same amount of time that Anne Frank was in hiding. Well, what was really strange about this whole thing is at that time in history, I really know a lot more about Anne Frank than I know about my mom.
Japanese heritage, all right? And not only that, this is a symbol for children, and I was a child. And so this has a very potent meaning in relationship to the internment process.
The goal of the Topaz Blue Crane Kickstarter project is to keep the memories of the Japanese American concentration camps alive. On July 2nd, 2014, I'm going to the Topaz internment camp in Utah to transfer information from the paper cranes to a black granite memorial. This process will form a physical and digital bridge between the grandmother and her granddaughters. We will write a story in stone for others to find. Our interactive method will allow others to actively participate by leaving links to personal messages, photos, and videos. We intend to gather a series of stories that will form a collection of individual voices. Collectively, these messages will form a public digital footprint on its own that will help to keep the memory of Topaz alive. Through Kickstarter, we are requesting modest funds to partially cover the cost of materials, transportation, and dissemination of information. Please help my mom find her missing photos and memories from the past. Leave a message, burn an impression. The issue is sharing experiences.